Hello, dear friends. First of all, let me apologize. I am soaked with sweat. I've been working in my yard and it is 94 degrees and the humidity is ridiculous. It's got to be like 80% humidity. And we've had recent storms that have caused a lot of damage. I know a lot of people have. Um, uh, so I am making a Gen X video. I'm calling it a Gen X video because technically I'm what they call Gen X. I was born in 1971. Yeah, yeah, Richard Nixon was still commander in chief when I was born. So yeah, I'm that old. Um, I worked for 20 years. The only reason I don't work anymore is because I have spine injuries and mostly spine injuries. But I have, I want you to pay attention because this is going to come up in a minute. I have multiple spine injuries in my cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine. Okay. I have joint injuries, muscle injuries, connective tissue injuries. I have arthritis, bursitis, plantar fasciitis. I have atrial fib, which has caused me to have mini strokes and TIAs. I have lung disease that um, causes asthma, and I have allergies that exacerbate that. I have type 2 diabetes with insulin resistance. I have chronic kidney disease, stage 3. I have high cholesterol. Um, oh, I probably have other stuff wrong with me, but I've smoked for 36 years. I still smoke. I drank alcohol for over 30 years. I quit drinking over 11 years ago. Uh, so yeah, I have some health problems. But I still get out there and work and do what I need to do because that's what we do. That's what we do. I can't speak for all of Gen X. Not at all. Because I'm going to tell you right now, some of the Gen X people that I grew up with are the laziest, most worthless pieces of garbage that you will ever meet in your life. And it's absurd. And they are entitled. They expect everything to be done for them, and people feel sorry for them. So yeah, I see that. Okay, but that being said, millennials, Gen Z, whatever, however people identify, there's good and bad in all of us. There really is. And generationally, and I've heard like people from my generation, Gen X, call like the Gen Zs and stuff. They call them like snowflakes or whatever. Don't do that. These people have just as much right to live as we did, and live their own way. We weren't perfect. You know, we got all this crap. Look at the heat today and the climate and the environment. Like this was all happening like 2 or 3 generations before our generation, and we didn't really do anything about it. We grew up with the hippies and the protesters and the civil rights people and the Vietnam War people and even the Korean War people and stuff. And like a lot of those people really were out there, fighting and marching and getting hosed and attacked by dogs and getting beaten and spit on and having garbage thrown on. We knew those people. And we like for some reason we just thought the work was all done and we could live our happy life in our 70s, 80s, and 90s, with all the work done. So, yeah, that's kind of on us. Not on all of us. I can't speak for all of us, but we had good things. I thought that things were going to be good between U.S. and Russia, with Gorbachev and Reagan, and then we had the wall coming down in Berlin or in Germany. Well, it was Berlin, but there was good stuff happening, and we just thought that ball was going to roll. Okay, so not making excuses, but the reason I'm making this video is because I was watching the videos, the the Gen X and the Millennials and the Gen Z all kind of ranking on each other, kind of taking it out of each other, and it was kind of fun and entertaining and funny. And like they'd show pictures of old things and like, oh, if you can recognize what this is, then you're old and stuff. Yeah, it was kind of funny and entertaining. But it's gotten like some of it's gotten like kind of aggressive and mean, and I don't really like that. And I mean, we did if you watch, I agree with a lot of what the my generation, Gen X, a lot of what they say, how they grew up and stuff. But we weren't all like, we're not all cookie cutter. We weren't all like latchkey kids. Some of us, you know, we had different family structures. Like some of us grew up with our grandparents, so we got some philosophy and insight and ideas and work ethic from our grandparents' generation. So we did grow up a little bit. We're not all cookie cutter. We're not all the same. And like on the other side of that, like I said, there's some people in my generation that are just the most laziest, most worthless people you'll ever lay eyes on. And I mean, that's just how they are. So there's a pretty good spectrum there. Um, Guys, people need to get along and just like, let it be fun and kind of goofy or whatever. That's fine, but don't be attacking each other. Don't be saying, you know, because now we got like these, I think they're like Gen Z people or whatever saying, "Oh, well, Gen X ain't nothing and they're blah and they ran away and like different." I'm like, what is this? But by the same token, you got like Gen X people saying, "Oh, it's like these people are snowflakes and blah," and like, guys, leave each other alone. Like, really, I mean, I do have not not that I really have a particular horse in this race, but I am that generation that they call Gen X, and we did grow up a certain way, and like we grew up in like a combat culture, like movies, television, video games was all combat, 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 and it was all war and martial arts and violence, and that was what was cool back then. And when we were kids, we used to go out and beat the hell out of each other. And as long as we didn't come home with any bad marks or cuts on us, and we didn't come home crying about it, nothing happened. It was that's just the way it was. And like teachers were allowed to hit us and push us around. Other parents were, random adults were if we were misbehaving. And like there was this whole big threat of like when we were kids, like if you cut across somebody's property or pick somebody's flowers or pick fruit off somebody's tree or just all these like seemingly mundane things, you could get the cops called on you, and there were police that actually would seek you out, and like people would try to pursue a conviction against you when you were like a minor, like literally minors. I'm not talking about 18, 20-year old. I'm talking about like 13, 14-year olds and younger sometimes. So we grew up with a kind of a strange mentality. And you got to realize, like back then, we did have corrupt police. Everybody's got cameras and stuff now, so you don't see it. Police really did some bad things sometimes. They would make false arrests, make illegal search. They would plant evidence. They would bully people. They would misuse their authority and their power. They really did. There were some bad cops out there. I mean, there were always good cops, but there was some bad cops out there, and that's why everybody has these cameras now. So we grew up with a real fear of that. We came up hard. We came up working. Like with me, with all the injuries that I've had, my spine injuries, my joint injuries, my other injuries that I've had and stuff, and I still keep going because that's what we do. You know, we didn't miss work because we didn't feel good. We didn't miss work because we were hurt. We certainly didn't miss work because somebody yelled at us or treated us badly at our job. We didn't do that. We worked, and we worked to provide for our children, who are the millennials, so we could give them a better life and give them the things and the opportunities that we felt like we didn't have. And so, yeah, that's, kind of part of my Gen X thing. And the other thing is like there's some millennials, I guess, I think they're millennials that are saying like, oh, well, don't bother the Gen X people, leave the Gen X people alone because you don't want to stir them up, because they're mean and whatever. And like, but then you got like these younger people that are saying, oh, well, these Gen X people aren't crap and they're blah, blah, like, oh, like, and like, dude, like, you haven't even been alive as many years that I've worked in my life. Like, how do you think you have like, and we grew up, you don't disrespect your elders, number one. That's how we grew up. But, but back then, you got to realize, like, our parents and our grandparents, they were a lot of, like, where I live, a lot of them were like farm people, but even like the industrial people, you look at some, they had great big hands and great big wrists, and like you just knew if they, like, back then, if an adult grabbed a hold of you, and the women were like this too, they would leave bruises on you, and they could actually hurt the bone because they were so strong because of the way they worked. Like, that's how we grew up. Like, you didn't fool with older people. I mean, aside from just, you should generally have respect for older people, but back then, if an older person grabbed you, they could literally hurt you just by grabbing you. I mean, probably a lot of people don't see it now, but like a lot of these people, like these older people, had these great big, thick hands and wrists, and they were like they could just pop a walnut in their hand, like just take one hand and pop a walnut, like not like effortlessly. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. This was real stuff. Like, I think some of you young people don't realize that this was actually real stuff. And I'm not trying to be disparaging or disrespectful to these younger people, or I'm not at all. I'm trying to do this for everybody's benefit because we all need to get along. But I mean, that really is how we grew up. It's not a joke, and it's not some fantasy or some elaborate story that we made up. It's just how it was. And in a lot of ways, we made we took steps that helped make the world a safer place for you guys in a lot of ways. It's not a perfect world, but some of it is. Like, you don't get beat by people, you don't get beat by police, you don't get beat by teachers, you don't get spit on, you don't have your gym coaches trying to stuff your head in the toilet because you did something wrong or talk back. Yeah, you're welcome. Because child abuse was rampant when we were kids. You know, we took some of those steps. So be grateful for that. And the other thing is, we grew up in a combat culture. Like, I mean, we grew up with all these war movies and violence and video games and stuff, and that's what was cool. That's what was cool. And everybody wanted to be like, they wanted to be like a super soldier, or like a big kung fu person, or like some other, one of those people you don't like, just somebody you don't mess with, like, oh, he's like a bad, or she's like a bad, you don't mess with her. I mean, that's how we grew up, and That's how we lived our lives. And like, again, I can't speak for all of any generation or whatever, but you can't just blatantly just say whatever you want to whoever you want, because there really are people out there who will hurt you. There really are. And there are people who don't care. There are people, in fact, that if they if you tell them that you're going to have them arrested, they will hurt you even worse just for saying that you're going to have them arrested. I'm not kidding. There are really these people out there. I mean, the law doesn't mean anything to them. To them, if you're going to put them in a position where they're going to be at risk for losing their property or time from their family or losing their job, they are going to make sure that they do something that's going to warrant the amount of time that they're going to lose from those things. And it's just a mentality, and I'm not trying to be scary or threatening or anything. This is just FYI, there are these people out there. And there's a lot of people like that from my generation. There really are. And I'm sure there's people like that from these other generations. But just, guys, come on. Just get along. Keep it light. Keep it fun. You know, at the end of the day, we all need to step up. Look at the world around us. This weather, this 90, I can't remember what it was when I started, but 94 degrees and this humidity, I'm pouring sweat. This all started like 2, 3 generations before me. Like I said, we thought everything was going to be fine, you know. So there's bigger things to worry about. There's bigger things to worry about. Just I hope somebody got something from this. Have a blessed day. So now it's going to take me 3 minutes to find my cursor so I can turn this off. I hope everybody has a good day. I hope somebody gets something from